industri pokok asam konservasi?
Okay, generally as a whole, I would like to resurrect the glory of Taiping, Perak, right? And in particular, make Taiping, Pokok Asam a vibrant town. Because as Perak, used to be the richest city in Malaysia, but now we are the third poorest country, state in the country. So that aspect has to be addressed. So in terms of that, I would like to use two sectors. One is the tourism sector, to bring in people to visit Taiping, because Taiping is a historical town. Our town is actually classified as a heritage town. So with that, we need to do a lot of conservation work in respect of the Taiping town, Bandar Warisan. Later on, you get to speak to Mr. Lawrence on more specific on this area. So besides state assembly, and we have to attend to the basic amenities like the sampah, longkang and rumput issue, as well as the welfare of the orang kurang upaya, the poor and the destitute, the homeless and the single mothers, right? Land matters, and there are certain emergency like fire and storm that happened in the last 80 days when I'm in office. But this, I'm lucky to have help of my able assistants to attend to all these things, so that I can concentrate on more conceptual things like promoting tourism, bringing development to this Taiping business activities. With I hope with the information technology, i.e. the internet, I'm able to promote the above. And as we live in a globalized world, globalization, I hope the Taiping people have to look beyond Taiping to create a better Taiping. And in actual fact, look beyond Perak, right? To be receptive to new ideas and fresh ideas. And embrace changes, very important, right? But at the same time, human capital has to be developed, whereas the facade of the town can be conserved as a heritage town. So these two separate things,
Okay, Bobby, di Taiping ni ada berapa banyak yang bangunan yang dikategorikan sebagai ada nilai
83, yeah. It's 83.
Presently, 83 buildings have been identified as heritage buildings.
I hope the government is able to provide more incentive to these heritage building owners, so that they would have the incentive to really conserve the building, or even renovate the building to its old form. Because as I just learned from Mr. Lawrence, that this would bring value to the town in due course, in maybe 20-30 years down the road,
Okay, apa antara which building that you want to promote?
Okay, in this aspect, I would like to hand over to Mr. Lawrence to give a detailed, because he's the expert in this area. Therefore, he would be a better person to explain which building we should first give priority to conserve in this town.
But you will cooperate with Mr. Lawrence
Yes,
to
yes,
make sure this
yes.
thing
I'm learning from Mr. Lawrence, in fact. I'm learning. But my policy is we have to preserve, conserve the heritage town status and further develop on it.
I think that you can mention that local authority is doing a lot.
Okay, even the local authority, MPT, is doing a lot in this aspect. But meanwhile, we would not neglect the development aspect. We will not neglect the development aspect. So we have to find a very good balance here, working along with the local authority. So Lawrence, you want to add a few more?
Can
you give me some which building that you don't think that?
Well, I think generally, maybe I can start by saying, having worked in consultation with the local authority, they have actually carried out many studies to identify what is heritage and what is worth conserving. They have already identified, say, 80 buildings. But there are many more which are worthy of restoration or conservation. Now, I think maybe to take up the issue of, say, tourism, if you want to promote tourism in Taiping, what are the assets that you're going to showcase? Now, why will a tourist come to Taiping? Do they come and see your gardens, the lake gardens? They come and see they come to the zoo. What else will they come to see? What are the selling points that you can promote? Now, I think the government has been very correct through the last 10 over years promoting Taiping as a heritage town, because they realize that this is your single most important asset. Right? Without the heritage, you are no different from any other town. Taiping started out as a very simple mining town. In 1880, there was a big fire. All the houses were just atap houses. Quickly, it was burned down. So they put into place a very, very unique town plan. And Taiping's town plan is a very special town plan. You notice that the streets are broader. You go to Penang, the streets are very narrow. But here they have broad streets, they have back lane. They have set up this sanitation board to look after all the different issues, which has now become the Majlis Pembangunan Taiping. And over the years, they have developed it with different styles of architecture until what it is today. So in fact, if you want to sell a product, it should be the whole setting, not just a single building. So just to answer your question, if you ask me which building is important, the town, the setting of the historic town is important. The more intact you retain it as, the more valuable it becomes. I have been working in this area for the last 25 years. I know that it's very time consuming to build up consensus of what heritage should be. But the simple thing that I always tell people, that heritage is a story. Okay? A story has a cover, has contents, has chapters. Can you imagine if, for example, you tore the cover away? You may still know what the story is all about. You tear one page from each chapter, you may still know what the story is about, but you've already lost some meaning. Now, imagine you take away out of 10 chapters, you tear out 5 chapters. Do you know what the story is? You have to guess. Right? So the buildings, each building in this town is a word in that story. You know, it's a sentence or a page of that story. Within each building, there is the oral history of the family, of the people who built them, of the government people who built the government buildings. Now, the more intact that story is, the more valuable and more sellable that story is. So, you have to identify what are your heritage buildings, what makes up a heritage street, the different styles of architecture, what creates the continuity of that story. Right? So I would say that Taiping as a whole, if you keep it intact, it's not that you don't allow redevelopment or partial development. It's just that you have to create very clear guidelines for the people on how to redevelop the site. what do they have to retain, what can they take away.